And I'm going to introduce Lisa now properly. We're very lucky to have her with us today. And Lisa is going to be talking about the most intimate relationship you can ever have is your relationship with yourself. That's the name of Lisa's talk. And Lisa is a spiritual teacher and an author known for her work in the field of transformation, healing, and awakening. Her teachings are focused on empowering individuals to shift the way they see themselves and to know their true nature as conscious to create positive, lasting change in their lives. So thank you so much, Lisa, for being with us today. I really appreciate your presence, and I'm really looking forward to hearing what you've got to say. Over to you.
Hi, everyone. I'm so happy to be here. And thank you so much, Lorraine, for having me here. And the topic is about intimate relationships. And I only have 20 minutes, so I really just want to get into it. And if anybody wants to put their video on, I love that, because that's the whole thing with relationships, is really starting to be seen, starting to show up, really saying, okay, I'm going to come out of hiding and let myself really be present. Yay, thank you so much. And I'm a teacher of A Course in Miracles and non-duality, and mostly I'm a teacher of healing, and I'm also a teacher of consciousness. And so to me, this whole idea of relationships has to start with the metaphysics. So how do we have great relationships? How do we deal with difficult people? The first part, the most intimate relationship you can ever have is with yourself. So we have to start here. So when we're talking about consciousness, and 99% of the planet does not think like this. Like, most people think there's me in this body and it's solid and I'm physical and I'm over here or I'm here. And then there's people out there that I'm in relationship with. It doesn't work like that. Every single person is not out there. And so this gets metaphysical. So the way I teach is not like a normal relationship about being nice and the normal things we talk about with how to relate to people. The first place to have great relationships is to know what you are. It's the only way. And then as an effect or a result of you healing and knowing what you are, all your relationships begin to reflect this change in you. So I'm just going to start with a question. You can use the chat board if you want, but how many of you absolutely love yourself? There's no guilt, there's no judgment, you're not critical of yourself or the body. Is there anyone here who's just totally at peace with yourself as you are? Okay, that's honest. There's no one. Okay, good. Then that's where we have to start. We have to start here. Because when we're looking at the metaphysics, you are pure consciousness, pure presence, that you're eternal, you're changeless. And what we do when we believe that we're a body is we live in the separation and we project the guilt onto the body. And the body reflects the guilt. And then because we can't stand the feeling of guilt, it's very uncomfortable, we project it onto other people. And then we think other people are the problem. So we have to start within. We have to start here with starting to really know ourselves as pure love, as pure presence. This is what we are in truth. And I know that can seem like a concept in the beginning, because we're not taught that. But I want you to think back to when you were just arrived here. You just arrived, okay? It's the day of your birth and you just arrived. And you don't know if you're a girl or a boy yet. You don't have a name yet. You just arrived. You're pure consciousness. And so if you ever can look at a baby that's just arrived, they're 100% present, correct? There's that look of wonder, or they're crying, or they're there. So we're always here as pure light, however you want to call it. And then what happens is the layers start to come on. You're a girl, you're a boy. Instantly, the day you got here, instantly a label got put on you. And then your name got put on you. And then your story, family story got put on you. And then the rules of society got put on you. And you started to hide your light and your brilliance and your power and your creativity, because people started to tell you, be quiet, be a good girl, be a good boy, boys don't cry, like all these little innocent things that we're just exposed to. And we start to go hide inside. So our relationship with ourself, with our source, is now seems disconnected. We start to live in this very small, limited place. Like today on Instagram, I saw this like kind of funny thing, but somebody posted Himalayan sea salt, and it said it was 250 million years old, okay? But it was in a container and it had an expiration date of 2019. So we have 250 million year old sea salt, which now has an expiration date. How is that possible? And then I Googled it. You know, my mind is like, oh, what is all that about? How come sea salt has an expiration date? It's because it's no longer connected to its source. We took it from its source and put it in plastic, and because of the properties of plastic, it actually starts to lose its vitality inside the plastic. That's a great analogy for us. We get disconnected from our source. We call it God, awareness, consciousness, love, beingness. But you can't ever actually, in truth, be disconnected from what you are, but you think you did. So now we live separate from the love that we are, and we feel guilty because we're not being ourselves. And so we start to lose our vitality. We start to have an expiration date. We start to age. The body reflects how we hold ourselves. And so I just love that, because I'm somebody who was in the human mix. I hated myself. I had relationships that were conflictual, and I was constantly getting triggered. I mean, I am not somebody who just came in as pure happiness, which we all did, and retained it. I lost it too. I lost my connection. And then what we do when we lose our connection is we compensate to get back that wholeness. And we try to do it through relationships. We try to do it through external things. And we think, okay, if I just can get this relationship, or I get the money, I get the job, the health, then I can be happy again. And then I can really work on my relationships. It doesn't work like that. We have to start where we are now and begin to take a journey of healing, where we start to heal these parts of ourselves that have been hiding, that have been isolating, that have been critical of the body. Can you imagine not being critical anymore of yourself? Wouldn't that be awesome? Can you imagine like loving yourself just as is? You're perfect as is. You don't have to change. You don't have to lose weight or gain weight. Nothing's lost. You don't have to be younger. Not None of that. That's all attack thoughts. And when you start to value what you are, you start to see things differently. So first you see yourself differently, and you start to really know what you're about. And no, nothing can hurt you when you have a solid foundation in what you are. And then, and this is where it can be kind of work, quote unquote, because when you're coming out of hiding and isolation, we all have relationships, right? We all have parents or partners or friends or coworkers or children, strangers. I mean, here in the world, the whole thing is based on relationship. So when we can start to say, okay, I'm going to heal here first, this has to come first. And then what happens is that because you're coming out of the hiding and holding yourself in this box that we hold ourselves in to keep ourselves safe, your relationships can kind of look a little more conflictual than ever. So, like, I actually went through this was several years ago, but I almost got divorced. My husband and I went through this period. It lasted a couple of years, and we both on a spiritual path. We both know spiritual teachings. We both were on committed for 20, 30 years on a spiritual path. Relationships can be so trying and just pushing all your buttons that you forget everything you know about spirituality, okay? And we went right down a hole. I mean, it was bad. I mean, we were fighting and attacking each other and name calling and horrible, horrible things we said to each other. And we were like this close to divorce. We had the date, the court date was like, I don't know, a week or two away. And because of our spiritual practice, we knew enough to stand still, to pause, to say, okay, this is not some random thing. If we don't heal this, it's just going to show up in the next relationship. That's how that works. Consciousness. If you don't heal it now, it's going to just show up later. So we actually decided, okay, let's stay together. And I didn't want to rip up the court date. Like I wanted like a back door. I wanted like a safety net. I was like, okay, I'll work on the relationship, but we're still going to keep the court date because it took us a long time to get that court date. And Bill was like, no, no, we have to. It's all in. And I'm grateful for him that we canceled that court date. I ripped up the paper. I said, okay, let's do this. And it wasn't easy. And a lot of stuff came out for both of us of just buried stuff that we were projecting onto the other. And I'm trying to think of the time frame, but it was under 9 weeks that the whole thing disappeared, all the conflict. And this was back like in 2016. And we have the best marriage ever. We've never had a problem since then. It's like when you heal something here and you're no longer attacking yourself, you're no longer projecting it either. And so I really just want to share with you, like, there's work to do. It's not just like you can say spiritual concepts. It's like if you want to experience this freedom and this joy and this happiness, it has to happen here. So I know we have a very limited amount of time, so I'm just gonna give it back to you, Lorraine, and
You're okay. We are running a bit late, but it's okay. Um, so that's a beautiful story. And I'm so pleased that you and your husband found your way through that in 9 weeks. So I'm just wondering if you might be able to share, Lisa, with people how you did it.
Mhm. Yeah. Yeah, we actually got a therapist. We got a relationship therapist who was a friend of ours, and I didn't want to do it because I'd been on a spiritual path for so long, and I was really in this place where I was like, there was no world, I'm based on A Course in Miracles, and we don't have to fix anything, and everything's perfect, and it was like concept, 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 and I was in that, like, when you're in a place of like rock bottom, you're just willing to do something in a new way. And so we had this therapist, and the particular like format he used was that Gay Hendricks guy. Like, you can buy Gay Hendricks book, and we kind of followed that thing, and it actually goes into your childhood. So asked us to go back into our childhood, and I remember this one day I was not wanting to give anything to the relationship. That was my part. Bill had some of his part, but I just felt like I don't want to be like normally married, not like a married person. So I was realizing how selfish I was being. I was never thinking about Bill and what he would like to do. So often he wanted to do things that I didn't want to do. I had no interest in them. And so I was constantly like, I don't feel like it. I don't want to go. You go. And the therapist pointed that out in me. He pointed out, like, Lisa, sometimes in marriage and relationships, you do things just because it's going to make your partner happy.
Mm.
And I actually said, I don't know if I can swear on this show, if I can say the F word, but
Yeah, you can.
so the therapist said this, and Bill was sitting there, and he said, Lisa, sometimes you just do things in relationship because your partner wants to, and it'll make your partner happy. I said, fuck that. And the therapist and Bill were like looking at me, and I was like, and then I started laughing. I was like, oh my goodness. And so I started to realize that I had defenses and holding myself in a pattern of control and not open to like being in union and joined in relationship. And so that was my part. So my part was really to say, okay, wow. Oh my goodness. Like, and so I started to say, okay, I want to really listen to Bill now and see what he wants to do and go do those things with him. And then he had stuff come up for him that was based on his childhood with feeling unlovable and feeling, and you never know that because we put these defenses up where we act like we're okay. But if you have childhood stuff buried in you and you've suppressed it, and there's fear of being abandoned or not being good enough or not being worthy, and somebody leaving you, I mean, we all have this. It's built in. We've all been abandoned by someone at some point. We've all been told we're not good enough. We've all been told we're too much. And so when you can see these little patterns in yourself, and some of them are big patterns, you can start the healing process. You can say, okay. Yeah, because a part of the problem on his part was when I would go away from like more than a couple hours, he would cause a problem. And I'd be like, where I was. I was with my mom, or I was just went for a drive, or went here, and this. And he's like, yeah, but I couldn't reach you by text. I texted you, and when I'm with people, I don't have a phone on me. It's just how it goes with me. I'll not have a phone for 12 hours. If I'm with friends or on events. And so I try to explain that to him, but see, that's the thing. What we do in relationship is try to fix the external. So most of us will say, oh, I'll just keep my phone on me all the time. And if my partner texts me, I'll text back straight away. That's not a solution. That can't work because you've got buried stuff going on. It's never going to get fixed until you fix it inside and you heal it and you see it. And so we both were seeing stuff. We both were seeing things that we were doing, and then from there, um, there was just this one day. We had like 3 more sessions. I think we paid for 12 sessions. It was like 12-week thing. And after 9 sessions, we both just went, "Oh, we're done. We're done with the therapy. We just knew it. It was just a done deal." And we talked to the therapist, and he agreed. He was like, "Okay." And and so when something is healed in us, it's healed forever. And and when the layers come out, they come out in different people. So like I had another thing where in the 3rd grade I used to be bullied for being too much. I was smart, I was brilliant and creative and just shining star like we all are, right? And I started to get bullied and being told, you're a know-it-all, you're selfish, you're blah blah blah. And so I shut myself down. Well, when the stuff started come out when I was an adult, I actually had adult bullies that were my 3rd grade bullies, but in different bodies. It was the same, they were using the same words that the little 3rd graders were telling me that I didn't heal. Like I went hiding inside. So when I suddenly an adulthood and all this healing's happening and all this suppressed stuff is coming to the surface now, it projects in people. So I started getting bullied on Facebook publicly, like at the same time, 2016, 15, 16, 17, and still the work has to be done here. And I started doing the work inside to heal those parts. And that bully, actually, it's not, he's no longer here in the world, but in the end of his life, we became best friends. We became such good friends. He had this total awakening and reached out to me and said, really want to apologize for everything I said to you, and so sorry. But do you see? When we heal it here, it reflects here. But it can't be that you're waiting for the reflection to change. It doesn't matter. If the bullying continued because I was healed, it wouldn't have mattered anymore. He couldn't touch me anymore because I knew my value. I knew who I am. And so, um, yeah. So to me, the most intimate relationship you can have is with yourself. It's the only one, really. It's just, and then every relationship you have now becomes a place of curiosity for you. Like, I just want you to think, just in closing, because I know we have the other speakers here in the room, is if you have a challenging, difficult relationship in your life, I invite you to see it differently. I invite you to see it as a gift that has come to you to push you into expansion. It's whatever that difficult relationship is brought there by you. You called it in. It's not random. It's a gift. And every single relationship that we have is trying to wake us up. And the person who's pushing your buttons, they don't know about that. They're just pushing your buttons. But if you can start to recognize, okay, there's some place in me I've been hiding, not being authentic, not being myself, staying small, something. I guarantee it across the board. If you have a difficult relationship in your life, that person has come to bring you back home to the awareness of yourself as pure presence. And that's the work that I'm inviting you to do.
Lisa, thank you.
Thank you. I love you so much, Lorraine. I mean, thank you for coming on this conference, and just thanks to everyone who's here.
Can I just ask you just to say a little bit about your free gift?
Yep. So I have
Putting that in the chat, and also how people can work with you if they want to.
Yep. So I actually created just for this group a 2-page PDF handout that's called "How to Deal with Difficult People," and I'm offering a 6-week class on relationship mastery. It starts on July 12th. So you can go to my website, lisanatoli.com, and you can get this handout, which is one of the practices for, there's 4 different practices here of how to deal with difficult people. And this is going to be one of the practices in the 6 weeks. And you can also sign up for a Zoom call, a free Zoom call I'm going to be doing on July 12th on how to deal with difficult people. So I'm going to be going over this handout in
What time is it? What time is it?
It's on, I think it's on a Thursday. I think it's July 5th. It's either a Wednesday or a Thursday, July 5th at 1 p.m. Eastern. And you can go to Lisa Natoli.
It's about 7 p.m.
.com.
European time, which is really a good time for us. So that's great. People, you can do that.
Oh, I see you posted the free gift in there. Oh, that's perfect. Thank you. And
we will be sending it out also afterwards to everybody. So, but yeah, absolutely. Yeah.
Thank you so much. Thanks for having me.
Thank you for being here, and also thank you for your support as I, put it all together. You gave me some tips and some information and support, which was really helpful too. So, such a pleasure to meet you, and I really look forward to connecting with you again somewhere, somehow. And for everybody who's on the call today and who's listening to the replay, take advantage of the things that Lisa is offering and go and connect with her and attend some of her classes. I mean, I know that you will be doing this on an ongoing basis. So, even in 6 months' time or a year's time, people can still go and connect with you and enjoy what you have to show us and teach us. That was so beautiful. I'm so pleased that you and your husband together. So let's just unmute everybody, and everybody please just say thank you to Lisa so she can hear your voices, because we love.
Thank you, Lisa.
Thank you so much,
Lisa. Thank you.
Rose, Winnie.
Thank you, Lisa.
Mary,
Thank you, Lisa.
Thank you, Lisa. Thanks so much.
Thank you, Lisa. Lovely very much. Okay.